How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. So what I want to start with is, you've always said you like cars, you like driving around, listening to music. What is your go-to music to put on while you're driving?
It just depends how I feel, really. I listen to so many different types of music, and it's just whatever mood I'm feeling like. I'll put something on. I love artists like Bruce Springsteen, so he's always in the mix somewhere. But I'll happily listen to anything.
Is there anything you remember from listening to lately in the car?
I've been so busy for the past few months that I've just been constantly travelling and doing promo, so I actually haven't been in my own car for ages, so there's nothing recently that I can think of.
Okay. Well, Bruce Springsteen then, and obviously you've talked about him before, but what makes him so special for you?
I just think he's authentic. I think that there's so many artists out here that totally lack that. These days I think that it's difficult to look at anybody that even comes close to what he does. He writes these amazing songs. He still continues to do that decades later, and he puts on these unbelievable shows with the amazing E Street Band, and I think that any musician would be inspired by that. It's such a shame that I don't think that there'll ever be anyone similar to him, but thankfully he's still going strong, putting on these amazing tours and entertaining the whole world.
Why do you think that is, that people like him might not be able to exist anymore?
I mean, it's difficult for people to get on the radio. The sad state of affairs that probably if Bruce Springsteen was to come out now, with maybe the Born to Run album, it wouldn't get played on any radio stations, and I think that is absolutely awful. It's a terrible indictment of the kind of mess that the music industry is in, that so many people have to pander and write songs in a particular style in order to get radio play. And it's sad that probably somebody like Bruce Springsteen wouldn't get that support if he just came out now, but thankfully he's been with us for decades, and his music will inspire people for generations to come. I think that he is really an amazing artist and second to none.
And obviously he's inspired you, and then as a great storyteller, the way he wrote songs, did that, especially early on, did that have an influence on how you wrote songs?
Not early on, actually, because discovering Bruce Springsteen was something that I actually done after I was in the music industry. I was very young when I started. I wasn't even born when some of his iconic albums were released, so it's something that I've done more recently is travel back and discover all this amazing music, and I feel very lucky that over the past 50 years the world has produced some amazing artists, and there's such an incredible back catalogue from so many different bands and performers to kind of delve back into and just discover for the first time.
And if we go back there, because like you say, you started at a young age, did you know what's compelled you to write songs? What got you, not just to pick up an instrument, but to put thoughts onto paper?
It was just a natural progression. I taught myself to play the guitar after being inspired by loads of bands that I loved. I really loved the whole Britpop scene, just incredible kind of rough and ready bands just writing these real kind of iconic songs, and that really inspired me, and because of that I wanted desperately to play the guitar, so I taught myself, and I just would play along with all my favourite songs. But I think just the natural progression is to start and try and write your own songs, and that's something that I'd done very quickly after kind of learning some basic skills, and I just continued from there. It was something I enjoyed doing. It's such a great feeling when you write a song and you feel really pleased with it, and you think that it's really catchy and interesting. It's such a buzz.
So if we kind of fast forward now to your new record then, Under Stars, was there a moment where you had this feeling when you started writing, where this feeling captured you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, with this album, I felt that I was writing songs again just because I really enjoyed it, rather than feeling pressurised to write an album because it's what everyone expects. So there's songs on this album that have come from so many different places, and they all have their own unique backstory behind them. And I really enjoyed pretty much every minute of it, and there's definitely tracks on there that had a real buzz after I wrote them. I felt incredibly proud of them, and now when I listen to the album as a whole, I'm so pleased with it, and really glad that I took the time and got it exactly how I imagined it should be, because I think it's been worthwhile.
Can you take me to maybe one of the songs that had this feeling for you? Maybe one of the earlier ones?
The earliest song that I wrote for the album is a track called Prepare to Fall, and it was inspired by just a phrase that my mum has. She always tells me to prepare for the worst case scenario, and if you can prepare for that, then nothing will be a shock, and that's exactly where that song came from, and I wrote that a few years ago and actually performed it live. And I didn't really think that much of the song, to be honest, but the response that I got when I performed it live was unbelievable. People cheering in the middle of it, and I'd never really had that before. So for me, that was a kind of moment where I thought, oh gosh, maybe this is quite a decent song.
Mm-hmm. And this obviously comes after you took some time away. So was it important for you to take a little break and not focus on music?
It was nice to be home, but I never actually really had a break where I wasn't focusing on music. With my last album, it came out in 2012, but I was actually touring until 2014. And then in 2014, I had quite a lot of high-profile events and gigs that I took part in. And then I started writing the album and continued doing that through 2015, and then spent last year recording it and getting everything polished up into the right place. So I've never actually stopped with music. It's always been there, but what was nice was just being at home for a bit and not having to live out of a suitcase and travel constantly. It was nice to just kind of be around my friends and family again and have that normality.
Yeah, after having made 3 albums and going through all those tour cycles, what were the kind of things that you missed about being home? You mentioned not living out of a suitcase, but were there things you discovered about you as a person as well?
Not really, actually. I'm kind of very straight up and down. I don't have many layers. There's not a lot of things to discover about me. I'm just very kind of average Joe, normal. I think when I'm not travelling and when I'm not on tour, the thing that just I miss most is just the band, my crew, all the people that I travel with. We have such a great close-knit group. And you miss people because you're used to spending every minute in their company, and then suddenly they're not there. So that's what I miss most. But I'm also quite happy being at home and living a quiet life as well as kind of doing the crazy on the road touring thing. I can do both quite happily. Because
you mentioned the way the music industry is now, and then obviously you entered it at a young age. So what is your relationship with the music industry?
I don't really know. I mean, on one hand, I love the opportunity that I was given, but on the other hand, it's difficult to be part of something that is so fake. And there's so many artists, and the public are just sold this misinformation and lies and things like that, and people don't discover music anymore. It's just fed to them, and people think that they like something because they've genuinely went out and discovered it, but it isn't. It's just a kind of calculated marketing machine. And it's difficult sometimes because you see artists that you think deserve a chance and they never get it, and you listen to the radio and a lot of the stuff just sounds the same, and everyone's so scared of losing radio play or losing their place that they change the music they make just to fit in. And I just don't really get that. For me, music should be a personal thing. You shouldn't just change your whole style and make a certain song just so that you get on the radio. I think that it's more important to stick to your guns and make music that you believe in and that you're passionate about, and music that your fans like. If I suddenly went away and came back with a dance album or something like that, then a lot of the fans that I have that have stuck by me for the past 10 years would be extremely disappointed. So I always just kind of stay true to what I do, and sometimes that's detrimental. Sometimes you miss out because you don't change like the wind, but I just wouldn't feel comfortable just kind of chasing something that wasn't really me.
And like you say, you do have an audience, you have a big group of fans. So do you worry about what they will think when you
Yeah,
start writing?
yeah, all the time, because it's thanks to these amazing people and fans that I've been able to continue doing something I love for the past 10 years. So you ultimately want them to enjoy what you do. And you do always think about that. For me, I try not to think about it when I'm physically writing songs. I think that it would be strange to be thinking about things like that or thinking about radio play and stuff like that when you're writing a song, because it just takes away the magic. I think when you're writing music, you need to be fully involved and really be feeling what you're singing about rather than just painting by numbers, writing a song for the sake of it. So I don't think about it when I'm writing and when I'm working. But afterwards you do have that thought in your mind. But because I just stick to my own guns and do what I've always done, then I don't think that I ever stray too far from music that my fans would like and that would appeal to them.